Well, hello everybody. This is Krishna Vedula. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in different parts of the world. Welcome to another excellent, great, interesting, exciting webinar from our partnership of IFES, GDC, and IUCE. And I'm based in Hyderabad here and represent IUCE. We have our partners Saliki and Hans from IFES GDC. Thank you all for joining us. We have an exciting program for you. As you can see, it's about bridging the employability gap for engineering students. That's a conversation all over the world right now. Okay, it's a webinar with Coursera, and again, Coursera has become a household word for most of you, I'm sure. So what we are going to see is a presentation from Mr. Raghav Gupta, the Managing Director of India and APAC at APAC, I guess Asia Pacific and at Coursera. So he is prior to Coursera, Raghav was the India country manager at BlaBlaCar. Interesting name. Sometime we'll talk about that. A globally known intercity carpooling service, helping launch the company in India. He has 2 decades of experience in the consumer, internet, and management consulting industries in India, Southeast Asia, and Europe. Raghav has an MBA from INSEAD, as well as degrees from the National Institute of Fashion Technology or DY Patil University. Oh, we work with them in India. Great. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this for us. Over to you, and I'm going to step out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that introduction, Krishna. Could you please confirm, am I audible and my screen is visible?
Yes, perfect.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to be sharing some of our insights around bridging the employability gap with a focus on engineering students, but my hope is that even others, in the broader community will find it useful. And I'm planning maybe over the first 25 minutes or so to share what I have prepared. And then after that, open it up to a conversation, to a Q&A, to a discussion, which Krishna will help moderate. I also want to mention there are what I would call 5 screenshot moments as I take you through some of this material. And I will call them out, and you might be interested in taking a screenshot of your screen at that point in time. All right, so let's jump in. And just to quickly set context and tell you, where am I coming from when I share these insights, I want to introduce the Coursera platform as a company. Possibly many of you already know Coursera. You might have taken some of our courses and so on. So Coursera is amongst the world's largest lifelong learning ecosystems. We have 3 pillars that make up this platform. On top, you'll see learners. So these are individuals who come to Coursera to learn and prosper in their careers. And it's a large community of learners, upwards of 82 million people, 8.2 crore people. And of these 82 million people, about 11 million are in India. India is the second largest country in terms of learner base after the US. And what learners learn comes from educators. So there are 150 top universities, and I'll show you a small snapshot of this, and 50 plus companies who author content on the Coursera platform. Coursera ourselves doesn't author content. We bring content from the top universities, the top companies to learners around the world. And then lastly, we work with institutions, and the triangle within a triangle that you see on the right. So Coursera works with businesses, we work with governments, and we work with campuses. And today, of course, I'll focus a bit more on the work we do with campuses, but it's important to call out that because we work with 2,000 businesses, we have a fairly good understanding of how industry is changing, how business is changing, what the changes have been post-COVID, and how might campuses, how might academic leaders, students, faculty members want to think about what the future holds for them. And this is the context that I'll use for our conversation today. Coursera sits at the middle of this platform, connecting learners, educators, and institutions. So with that context, let me jump in and move into the next slide. We are seeing that industry is undergoing a lot of change, and this was change which was happening because of automation. This change has been accelerated due to COVID, and we are calling it double disruption. The World Economic Forum calls it double disruption: automation and now COVID. And because double disruption is happening in industry, we also believe that graduates will face unprecedented double disruption when they go into their careers, when they come out of graduation. This has four pieces. Firstly, there are going to be lesser jobs available because of automation, because of COVID-19 as well. In many disciplines, there will be lesser jobs available. So very simply, tougher job market. Second, within that job market, some of the core skills are changing. And industry is telling us that as much as 40% of the core skills will change quite rapidly over the next 4 years. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Thirdly, even post-COVID, many people in the workforce will continue to work remotely. So my company, many other companies are saying we're unlikely to ever go back to 5-day, offices and factories. And what does that mean from ability to work in teams, ability to lead people? How do we learn? All of that is changing. And it says here 91% of not just US businesses, but all businesses, including those in India, are accelerating digitalization, right? Which means that if a company is a bank, or if a company is an auto manufacturing company, or if a company is in engineering projects, the need for digital skills and the need for data related skills is exploding. And I'll use some of this double disruption that we are seeing in industry and that graduates face as well to talk about how we think about the future of higher education, especially for engineering students. Now, all of this is having significant impact on higher education. And if I were to highlight the top 5 areas where we are seeing impact, these are possibly those. Firstly, on the top right, student employability. So how does higher education deliver job relevant skills to improve employability, given double disruption that we are seeing in industry? We should talk about that today. Second, on the top left, blended classrooms. Last 1 year or so, students, faculty have spent time learning, teaching online. And it looks like blended classrooms, which is going to be a combination of on-campus and online, is going to stay post-COVID as well. And how do we want to think about that? Third, capacity. And capacity is partly a challenge, partly an opportunity for higher education institutions as well, because increasingly many high-quality higher education institutions will be looking to serve students who are on-campus students, but also many students who are online students who may never come to campus. So how can higher education institutions expand and serve more students? Fourth, cost management. COVID has put a lot of pressure on the business models of higher education institutions. The fee for hostels, residences has gone away, and how does a more cost-efficient model emerge? And then lastly, but very importantly, faculty development. Along with student employability, faculty also need to develop to be able to teach the new skills that the future of work needs, and how do we provide that? And I will hopefully address many of these challenges today. Now, before I move on, I'd love to just get to know the audience a little bit. And very simple question in the chat, if you could please answer this. Who are you? What describes you? Are you a student? Are you a faculty member or a university leader? Would just encourage for some responses in the chat, please. I'll pause for a few seconds.
It's not a chat, it's a poll. I'll give you the poll.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies, Krishna.
Launching the poll. Okay, the poll is launched. So please get in there and start responding. We're getting responses. What best describes you? Student, faculty, staff, professor, university leader. Okay, so let's keep going. I guess some of you may not fit into any of these categories. So anyway, right now we have 69% of have voted, 71% have voted. We'll give it some more time. Okay, we got most of them in. I'm going to close and display the results. So share. So it says student 40% and faculty / professor 60%. That's it.
Very helpful. And what I'll do is tailor some of what I'll be sharing today to be able to make it relevant for students and for faculty members. So let's move forward with that. Thank you for sharing that. Should we go to the next poll as well, Krishna?
Yeah, I can put up the next poll. You want to do that?
Yeah,
okay,
please.
I'll put up the next poll. Okay, I'm going to launch the next poll. Have you ever taken a Coursera course? Okay, here we go. Response a little bit faster this time. 70% voted, 71% have voted already. Give it a little more time. 76, 77. Okay, I'm going to close in just a few seconds. Hurry up, folks. You want to get your message in. Okay, I'm going to close, share. Yes, 73%. No, 27%. Quite a few people have taken a course.
Yeah, that's wonderful to see. So many of you already have the context, and I think we can build on that as we go through this presentation. All right, let me move forward. Now, as I was saying, on one side, as a part of double disruption, we will see lesser jobs that are available in the industries in general. At the same time, we are also seeing certain new jobs are coming up. These are a lot of jobs that require digital and data skills. They of course require other skills that students are studying. They of course require human skills. But if I were to look at the dominant characteristics of some of these jobs, these require digital and data skills. And if I were to pick the names of some of these, at number 1, you'll see data analysts and data scientists. At number 4, software and application developers. So, for students studying computer science, electronics, data science, these are all very relevant. And then for, students possibly studying engineering, mechanical engineering, IoT specialists, robotics engineers, and so on. So we're seeing definitely that, a lot of focus in industry around digital, around data, and skills that complement a lot of what you might be learning on campus along these particular competencies, these particular skills, is one area to think about when we think about the future of work and bridging the employability gap. We're also seeing actually for the first time that many business leaders, and I took this example of the CEO of Apple, actually talking about, because industry has changed so rapidly, again, because of automation, accelerated because of COVID, that even business leaders are feeling that there is a mismatch between some of the skills that are coming out with, among students from colleges and what industry needs in the future. So this is not just something that is a good to have that we should be thinking about, but this is, I would say, a must have that colleges and students and faculty members might want to think about. We did a study recently, and I'll share out the link to the study towards the end of this presentation. And what we did in the study, which is called the Unbounded University, is we compared students who are learning a particular skill on the Coursera platform with working professionals who might be learning that same skill on the Coursera platform. And we compared the proficiency levels of both students and these working professionals. And there's a lot on this slide, but a good way to read the slide is on the y-axis, you have skills proficiency level. And on the x-axis, it's the individual skill. So you'll see on the leftmost, leadership and management, and the font is a little bit small, is a skill. And the student proficiency level is the blue bar. And then there is the dotted line, which is the working professional skill level. And there is a gap there, right? And in a number of these areas, for example, if I pick an area here, which is entrepreneurship, it looks like the skill levels between students and working professionals who are in roles related to entrepreneurship are fairly close. And there are 3 areas that stand out, which are highlighted. So on the left, you'll see statistical programming. There's a gap between proficiency levels of students and that of working professionals. Then you will see, again, bolded in blue, data management. There's a gap between what students have learned, the proficiency levels versus working professionals, and then software engineering. And the meaning of the days here is that if there is a gap between in statistical programming between students and working professionals, we believe if students were to spend 45 days of focused learning on statistical programming, they can bridge that gap. And again, it is telling us that a lot of emerging skills are in key digital and data related domains. And what this chart is telling us is the gap that exists today between students and working professionals is also coming out in many of the digital skills. And so focusing on some of these skills is again going to be helpful from thinking about bridging the employability gap that might be there. Now, this is the first moment that I spoke about, which is the screenshot moment. As students seek out job relevant skills, this is what we see trending on the Coursera platform. So if you're, and this is specifically for computer science, but the top trending skills globally are artificial neural networks, digital marketing, blockchain, Python, and JavaScript. You might want to take a screenshot of this and use this for reference later as you think about your own learning. And then very specifically, the top courses by enrollments globally in the computer science domain are these 5. So the first one, which is Google Cloud Platform Fundamentals from Google Cloud, who teach on our platform, Python from University of Michigan. Dr. Chuck teaches that course, and then data scientist from Johns Hopkins, and so on and so forth. Also, I want to call out the last one, number 5, which is a course on communication skills from Georgia Tech. So this is something which hopefully is relevant for students who are attending today. The other thing which our research showed us is we compared the curricula of higher education institutions and where might be gaps when it comes to digital content. And what you see on the left hand side are different majors. So you could be studying social sciences, you could be studying physical sciences. The dark blue chart are those where digital skills are offered in more than 25% of the course catalog. And the yellow, or the orange rather, is where digital courses are offered in less than 25%. And we see that there are bigger gaps in majors related to engineering, in majors related to computer science, business, and then a few other domains. So these are domains where a lot of opportunity to bring in content is also available. Now, as I mentioned at the start, right, we have platforms that work with campuses, with businesses, and with governments. This is what Coursera for Campus looks like. When you go to Coursera.org, you're visiting Coursera's consumer platform where individuals can come and access learning. This is a platform designed for universities and colleges to adopt Coursera for Campus and make it available to their students and to their faculty. It has 5 pieces. So firstly, there's world-class content. There's content coming from 150 top universities and 50 companies. Second, we've enabled faculty members to also author online content. And for those of you who are joining us today who are faculty members, this should interest you. My belief is that going forward, everybody should be learning about how to author online content. We are making the same authoring tools, the same expertise which Coursera partners like Stanford and Yale and Michigan use to author content. And as faculty members, you could come and you could author assessments, you could author courses, you could author guided projects, all of that. Third, Coursera for Campus provides hands-on learning, especially for engineering students. Many jobs today require learning some kind of a software skill, whether you're studying mechanical engineering or civil or computer science or electronics. And we've launched something called guided projects where there are about 1,800 guided projects on our platform. And you can learn hands-on learning without having to purchase a software, install that software on your machine, without having to go look for an instructor, and so on and so forth. Number 4, job-ready skills. We've brought the insight of what is industry learning on the Coursera platform to campuses as well, so that campuses know what are the skills of the future. And secondly, we've made content from leading companies available to campuses as well. And then lastly, all of this sits on a scalable platform. So very quickly, we are able to scale up to thousands of students in a campus, and these students can learn in a fairly seamless environment. These students can also actually learn on a mobile device. Not everybody might always want to learn or might have access to a laptop. You can also actually learn when internet connectivity is poorer, and I'll talk a little bit about how that happens. So this is Coursera for Campus. and that's quite relevant for campuses, for faculty members, and for students. Now, the other thing that Coursera for Campus is enabling is blended learning. And I spoke about it earlier that the challenge for many higher education institutions now, as well as post-COVID, is going to be a world where blended learning is here to stay. Students will learn maybe 60%, 70% of the curricula on campus, and maybe 20%, 30%, 40% might forever stay online, and Coursera for Campus is enabling that. So, faculty members can choose content, guide students towards that content, ask them to take some of that content as prerequisite courses or even as flipped classrooms. And on the right, you'll see some of the specific applications of blended learning that Coursera for Campus is being used for. Now, the content on the Coursera platform comes from leading universities, and I wanted to take an example within engineering, given our focus today. And I wanted to call out that today the content on the Coursera platform comes from leading engineering schools around the world, and more than half of the top 50 global engineering schools, as per ranking from THE, teach on the Coursera platform. And you'll see leading names here. You'll also see that leading companies teach on the Coursera platform. So Microsoft, Google, IBM, Autodesk, and many such companies. Now, as a part of adoption of Coursera for Campus, many leading universities and colleges around the world, including in India, have done this. These are 4 examples that I picked. Covenant is a university in Africa. 9,000 students are learning on the Coursera platform. Johnson Smith University is an example in the US. And then in India, Manipal and KL University have adopted the Coursera platform. Just taking Manipal as an example, they actually adopted the Coursera platform 3 years ago. Upwards of 20,000 students at the campuses in Udupi, in Jaipur, in Dubai get to learn on the Coursera platform. And Coursera is being used as a part of for-credit learning, so blended into the curricula, and also for multidisciplinary learning purposes as well. And we've seen some very strong student response and faculty response to these programs. Now, for faculty members who are joining us today, this is a screenshot moment, and this is the second screenshot moment today. Faculty are gaining, some really cutting-edge skills. On the left, you'll see the top trending skills for faculty in the domains of business, data science, and technology. This is what faculty around the world are learning on the Coursera platform. And then on the right, you'll see top courses where faculty members around the world are coming and enrolling. So machine learning by Stanford, but also the science of well-being from Yale University. COVID has created a lot of stress in society and for us as individuals. And so the science of well-being is something that faculty members are seeing a lot of value in. All right, so let me move forward. Now, Coursera for Campus is being used by higher education institutions in 3 ways, and I'll talk briefly about all 3 of these. Firstly, building a powerful cutting-edge curriculum, complementing what is happening on campus along with the content and courses coming from Coursera. Also boosting student employability. If we can complement what you're learning on campus with some of the content, the projects, the certificates from Coursera, it can help boost student employability. We see a lot of institutions using Coursera for these 2 purposes, and Coursera is complementing institutions here. And then very recently, we've enabled universities and colleges to start track development of new skills. And I'll explain that when we come to this section, but I'll spend a little bit lesser time here. Now, this is what we are seeing across different disciplines. This is emerging career paths in different disciplines of engineering. So within computer science, it might be a little bit more understood that, in AI, in cybersecurity, in data science, new exciting career paths are emerging. And by the way, this is a screenshot moment as well, if you want to take a screenshot here. But in engineering disciplines like mechanical, exciting opportunities in mechatronics, additive manufacturing, automation, and so on. And then in civil engineering, smart cities, or mixed reality using AR and VR. These are all exciting career paths that are emerging. And I'll talk a little bit about how we are enabling campuses to build curricula to enable some of this. So this is the first example. I took an example of a BTech in mechanical engineering with specialization in digital marketing. And this is the first use case, which is building a powerful cutting edge curricula with Coursera. And what you'll see here is across semesters, core courses with some amount of Coursera content blended in, and then also possibly emerging skills, which could be standalone courses completely being taught on the Coursera platform. And you'll see the courses which are in the black font as examples, being taught on university completely led by faculty. And then courses which are in the blue font might be examples where faculty might say, look, I'm going to also blend in a course from so-and-so university. So as an example, Introduction to Electronics from Georgia Tech, or Probability and Stats from University of London in semester 1 and 2. And then at the same time, students could be also offered emerging skills, emerging technology skills in, additive technologies, or a course from Autodesk, and so on and so forth. So this is a way where on the top, you'll see 60 to 80% of the learning continues to come from faculty, and then anywhere between 20 to 40% gets supported and complemented by the Coursera platform. Similarly, an example in computer science with specialization in AI. And I won't spend time on this one, but content blended in from IBM, from Google, from Duke, from Michigan University, and so on and so forth, and complementing what is being taught on campus as well. All right, so let us pause with that. And Krishna, maybe we can go to our next poll. And the question is here, if we could launch that, please.
That poll has not been put up, I think. I don't see that poll. I saw it's only 2 polls. So why don't we make it a text question? This is a text question because there are no options here, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. This is a text question. So maybe we can request answers in the chat. Would that be all right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. So let's have this as a chat box thing. Just what skills do you feel are missing from your curricula? Please go ahead and we'll start reading them out. Okay. Please send your question to chat. And here we go. We're getting them. Okay. There you go. IoT, Internet of Things. That's one. Okay, keep coming. Achana, you were the first one in, so let's hear some more. There are 80 people here, so we should be getting many more. Okay, Felix says statistics, media literacy, digital literacy are missing along with 21st century skills. Okay, keep coming. I know you're thinking about what's missing, so let's get some responses. Okay. ICT, okay. Virtual laboratories, that's a good one. Yeah, that's for Abel Mayaka. Vivekananda says Python for mechanical engineering students. Kanagasapati says digital manufacturing. Virtual adaptabilities. Sati Chakravarti says AI, artificial intelligence. Vidya Das Gupta says cyber security. Jamie Ledesme Ortiz says data analysis, design thinking. All right, keep coming, guys. You can just type it up there in your chat box. Okay, more on data analytics, another one from Dinesh. Mental wellness during times of global hardship. Martin says practical classes, modification to suit industry. Alfredo says assessment of competencies, rubrics to use for that.
I think we've received a lot of good feedback. Okay, this is really helpful.
Okay, here we go. Keep going. That's it.
All right. Shall we pause with that and I can take over? Krishna, should we do that?
Continue. Yeah, I all set.
Yeah. All right. So this is really helpful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts here. And I was listening to the comments coming in. I think my sense is 80-90% of these topics are available on Coursera. And I'll talk a little bit about how many students, many faculty might want to use some of these resources that are available on the Coursera platform as well. All right, so let's go forward. So I took an example. If you remember, the second use case of Coursera for Campus was boosting student employability. And what I've taken an example here is we can actually target job-specific skilling as well. So not just generic programs for mechanical engineering, civil engineering, computer science, and so on. But this is very specifically, if you want to work in IT services, if you want to work in a tech product company, full stack developer in product companies is a very specific role. And companies will tell you, because, and I can say this because we work with companies, that here are some of the skills that are needed. So front end, JavaScript, multi-platform mobile app development, introduction to software product management. These are the skills that are needed. And this is a good learning pathway to say, from HKUST, there are 3 courses available. From Alberta in Canada, there is the software product management program available, and so on and so forth. And to complement this, also the interview readiness part of it, right? So whether it is resume writing, whether it is, English communication, or whether it is very specifically mastering the software engineering interview. So this is an example, taking a full stack developer in a product company for a computer science student, possibly, to say, look, this is a very specific role that you can target by building skills specifically around this. Now, I spoke about the third piece of Coursera for Campus, which is hands-on learning. And we are enabling that with Coursera Labs and guided projects. And I think there was a question in the previous poll, or a comment in the previous poll, about labs per se. Now, what we are doing, like I said, is learning a software tool is going to be relevant for many, many engineering students, for many, many jobs that are going to be there, irrespective of the stream that you're studying. And so we've enabled a virtual desktop where we've said, look, without having to purchase, install the software, find an instructor, get a data set, you can actually come and learn that in a project environment on Coursera. These guided projects are usually 1 to 2 hours in duration. There are about 1,800 of them. And what you're seeing here is on the right is the instructor screen, where this instructor has pre-recorded instructions on how to use, in this example, the Tableau software, which is used in data visualization. And on the left is the learner or the student screen, where you can come and follow along and actually build a project based on the data set, which is already embedded in the platform. And there are many tools, some examples you'll see on the left, Jupyter and RStudio and Tableau and so on and so forth, that we've made available. And so let me move to the next screenshot moment, which is what are some of the top guided projects by major on the Coursera platform. And here you'll see the top 3. And please keep in mind, these are from amongst 1,800 that are available on the Coursera platform. And again, I heard there were questions around Python and AI and so on. So for engineering students, these are the top 3 guided projects around the world that have been taken by learners. Create your Python program, build your portfolio website, and COVID-19 data analysis, again using Python. And then within computer science, these are the top 3 guided projects that we have seen, taken up by learners. You might want to go and check these out on the Coursera platform. And then I wanted to take a second example as well, and this is, just continuing the conversation around mechanical engineering. And this is a mechanical engineering student wanting to work as a mechanical design engineer. And so a learning path which specifically targets that. So with content coming in from Autodesk, and then Georgia Tech teaching advanced engineering systems in motion dynamics, and then content from, again, Georgia Tech and the National Taiwan University. So a learning path specifically towards this particular role. And then, as we saw earlier, the interview readiness towards this particular role as well. Now, let me come to the third piece, and I'm a little conscious of time. I've been going on for about 30 minutes or so, and I want to come to live Q&A as well. When we work with businesses, they ask us to measure the skill profile of working professionals, of employees. And so we are able to measure proficiency by skill. We are able to measure, how skill development is happening over time. We're also able to benchmark with other companies. many campuses are asking us for similar capability in terms of being able to measure. So today we are offering to campuses to say, look, if your students are studying on Coursera, you can actually measure proficiency by skill. And the font is a little bit small, but what you'll see here is this is data analysis as the skill. And as you go from the lighter color to the darker color, the proficiency level increases. So we are able to tell this particular college that you've had 1,200 students take data analysis on the Coursera platform. And out of those 1,203 students, these are the ones who are in conversant level of proficiency. These are the ones who are in the beginner level, in the intermediate level, and then very few in the advanced level. So this is something that we are enabling. We are also able to show how this proficiency is growing over time. So starting in January and let's say over December, how our proficiency levels increasing as learners take courses, take projects, and build their skills. And then we are also able to benchmark, across different universities and show where does your college or your university stack up, and where are you strong, and where might you want to build additional capabilities. So we are enabling that. And again, for faculty members or academic leaders who want to access some of these capabilities, I'm happy to get into a discussion later on how we can enable that. Now, a lot of what I've shared out, and this is, some of the resources that we wanted to share out, and this is, I think, the last screenshot moment, the number 5 screenshot moment. So this is the Unbounded University report that we've put out. How can students, faculty members, universities unlock opportunities through online learning? You might want to either scan the QR code or go through this link. I think we will share the link out later as well. And you can go and download this report. Now, what we've additionally done, and I have the last 2 or 3 slides left, is for a lot of what we have spoken about, a lot of this we have made available at absolutely no charge to colleges. And I'll talk about what we've made available to students as well. And some of this is as a part of the paid program. To colleges and universities, the first thing that we've made available is Coursera for Campus Basic. And you can, and the link is on the top, you'll see this here. A college can come and sign up for their students, and this gives free access to Coursera for Campus for all students in the institution, where a student can take as many hands-on projects as they want, and they can take one full course. So this is available, and this is some of the more detail around this. Coursera.org/campus/basic is the link for you to go and check this out. And this is, I want to emphasize again, a college or a university needs to come and sign up. And then lastly, if students want to come and sign up themselves, they can come and use the Coursera for Campus student plan. So very similar content available without any charge. And you'll see the link available here as well, and we'll share this out. So that's largely what I had. I've probably taken longer than I was planning to, but happy to open this up to any conversation, any questions that might have. I'll stop sharing my screen. And Krishna, if I could hand back to you, we can get into discussion.
Okay, great. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for a very fascinating and very informative session here, Raghav. We have a few people who are in the, put them up into the panel. These are some of the GEDC IFES leaders, and they might have some initial comments to make. And then in the meantime, I would welcome anybody in the audience to just post text questions, and I'll read them out as they come. All right, so let's see. The president of IFES is here, Ala Ashmawi. Would you like to jump in, Ala?
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot. Wonderful presentation, Raghav. And
thank you.
Just wanted to highlight the fact that nowadays, with the notion of micro degrees and the stackable credentials and so on, that is gaining popularity. The Coursera platform is a very good place to build on this. I don't know if you're aware of any universities that have based their programs, that might, let's say, a micro degree or something of this sort, based off of the Coursera platform. Or are you partnering with any universities that have done this? And the other thing that is very relevant to what we're doing in IFES is that we're looking now at the accreditation or certification of these micro credentials. And this is something that we're probably going to be discussing with you and your colleagues at Coursera as well, because you're a major stakeholder in this. So I look for it. So that's just on the side. But I was curious to know whether there are any universities that are that are building a micro degree or something of this sort off of the Coursera platform entirely, and what is the model for that from your side?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are seeing actually a lot of merit, a lot of benefit for all stakeholders to think about stackability and flexibility in higher education increasingly. And what we've been working on the Coursera platform is to say, the shortest form of learning is a course, a MOOC, a massive open online course. If you take a series of courses, it stacks up into a specialization. And we also now have what we call master track certificates on the Coursera platform. And these master track certificates actually stack up into full online degrees on the Coursera platform. So many of the Coursera partner universities, and there are 150 of these universities around the world, have created micro credentials, which are called master track certificates on Coursera. And in many cases, if you come in as a learner, take a master track certificate, but later you decide that you'd like to take the full degree from that particular institution, and if you apply, you get admitted to that particular degree, the credit of the master track that you've taken, the micro credential that you've taken, counts as a part of that full degree. And we are definitely doing that on the Coursera platform with our partner universities. We're also seeing that the number of these master tracks are increasing. And as I said, this is with the intent of providing stackability. Don't necessarily have to take the full degree, but start with a piece of a degree and then build it up. And in countries like India, where there is increasing talk as a part of the new education policy of multiple entry and exit points into degrees, this is something that is along the similar lines as well. So absolutely, that's a great question. And to your other comment, yeah, absolutely. Coursera is very keen to partner with your organizations, and so happy to have that conversation offline separately.
Okay, let's see. My friend Manivannan is here from IFES. Anything from you? Any comments from you?
Yeah, thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Raghav. Excellent presentation from your end. In fact, our university is already into Coursera basic plan. We are already taking a lot of courses. Only one question I want to ask you regarding, because today we lack of hands-on experience with respect to the labs, what you have. Probably for computer science people, it's not a problem, but for electronics and electrical and mechanical, any kind of hands-on virtual labs, whether Coursera is having a kind of curriculum developed within the system?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't catch the name of your institution. Would you mind saying that again?
This is Vinayaga Mission University, headquarters at Tamil Nadu.
Got it.
My college, both the institutions, engineering colleges at Salem in Tamil Nadu as well as in Chennai, near Chennai, Mahabalipuram. Two institutions are taking the basic plan of our Coursera already. Many of my students as well as faculty, they are already into that Coursera courses.
Got it. And you're right. I think we have a lot of content. I spoke about Coursera labs and guided projects. I would imagine they apply to mechanical engineering, civil engineering students, but these are largely software-based programs. So if you're coming to learn, Autodesk as a mechanical engineer, you can come and do that on Coursera. We don't have virtual labs for physical labs being simulated online as yet. It's something that we are evaluating. We are working on figuring out if that's something that we can bring to Coursera, and would be happy to share as and when we have something planned out on that. But yeah, thank you for that question.
Okay, great. Thanks, Manivannan.
Thank you.
Eleanor, would you like to make any comments? I'm not sure whether you wanted to or not, but you can unmute yourself. Eleanor, you're there, a very active member of IFES. I thought I'll put you on the panel, but you don't have to. Okay. Any other person, anybody else who wants to make any comments, please let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to read out some of the text messages that have come through. Let's see. Okay, so a question here. If I'm an engineering student, what can I do to brush up on my digital skills? Seems a pretty wide open question there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can go ahead and take that, Krishna.
Go ahead.
I would say the starting point is identifying which are the digital skills that you should be learning, right? And there are two ways to do it. Think about what is the discipline of engineering that you're learning, and also think about, do you have some thoughts, maybe not a specific role, but what is the career that you want to think about, right? And so say that, look, if that's the career I want to approach, what are the digital skills that are relevant for that? And then on platforms like Coursera, come and look for some of that content. Either your college or your university might be providing you access to that particular program, to come and kind of sign up and enroll for those courses. Or if you want to do those in your personal capacity, go to the student plan, or even go to Coursera.org, which is our consumer website, and you will be able to get access, or you will be able to locate these courses. But I think a good part of this is to say, what is the broad career direction and what are the relevant courses or the skills in that discipline? And looking at some of the resources that we chatted out, the Unbounded University report, for example, I think that's a good starting point to identify what specific digital skills might you want to look at.
Okay, next question. Can I co-brand Coursera for Campus learning homepage with my institution's brand?
Yeah, I think that's a great question as well. We've seen a lot of merit in doing that because, and we can do that actually. The answer is yes. Our experience has been that for students from a particular college or a university to come to the Coursera platform, but have it co-branded with the institution, is a lot richer learning experience, because you're coming to an environment that you're familiar with. And happy to have this conversation maybe offline on how you could do this, but we see a lot of merit on our side on getting the institution's name onto the Coursera for Campus page as well. I won't get into the specifics of in which cases it might be doable, and there are some cases where it might be a little bit harder, but in general, that is something that we encourage as well. So great question, and happy to take it offline for more detail.
Okay, next question. You briefly touched on plagiarism, but could you please expand more on that? How does Coursera for Campus actively prevent students from cheating and make sure that students are actually obtaining the skills from the offered courses?
Yeah, so what we've been doing is, Coursera has been around since 2011, so we are close to a 10-year-old company. And the first platform that Coursera had created was Coursera.org, which was not really meant for campuses, and for students. It was meant for anybody and everybody, mainly working professionals, to come and learn. And since there were no credits, there were no exams that were given out at that point in time when Coursera.org was set up, we hadn't built in a lot of academic integrity features into our platform. As I mentioned during my talk, Coursera for Campus was launched in October 2019. And since then, we've been adding a lot of academic integrity features. One of those features, for example, is plagiarism detection. So if a student is required to submit an assignment, we've partnered with the top institution in plagiarism detection, a company called Turnitin, which will evaluate the student's response, the learner's response. If there is plagiarism from a peer, from the internet, from other sources, it will flag that to the student first. And if at all the student still goes on and submits that assignment, then it will flag that to the administrator, to the faculty member who is responsible for that course. We're also building other academic integrity features, such as online proctoring, so that you can conduct exams, such that they are fully foolproof, and so on and so forth. So many of these features are available as a part of Coursera for Campus. You won't see them on our public, I should say on our consumer platform, because that's not the intent there. But essentially being confident, as faculty might decide to use Coursera as a part of blended learning, being confident that students have actually acquired the skills, they've taken the assessments, there are product capabilities available on that side.
Okay, so this is for mechanical engineering students. We are introducing 6 Sigma principles, design of experiments along with Python, AI, and machine learning. Will that be a good curriculum?
Yeah, I'd be happy to ask some of my content experts. I might not be the most qualified to answer that, but happy to, if you're able to send that question to me on an email, happy to get our content experts to give you a thorough answer on that particular question.
Okay, I think coupled with that, I guess, any comments on the core branches? I guess Coursera courses for people civil, mechanical, and I guess other core branches.
Yeah, there's a lot of content available. I took some examples as well. If you recall, I took the example of a BE mechanical student taking a specialization in digital manufacturing. I can completely understand perception might be because Coursera is an online platform. There's only computer science, only electronics, only circuit branches, which is available. We do have more content for technology and data science, but there is also a lot of content available in mechanical, civil, the more traditional branches. Please keep in mind there are upwards of 4,500 courses on Coursera. There are upwards of 1,800 projects, about 500 specializations. So there's a lot there, and do come and check it out. My expectation is that you'll find lots of valuable content and courses are available.
Seems to be a lot of interest in your guided projects by several students, and some comments on that. Obviously, you can't do it now, but I guess they want to see how would they get a live demo of one of these guided projects? Is there some way for them to see some of those?
Yeah, I think one way to do it could be if an institution were to sign up for Coursera for Campus Basic, they do get access to guided projects at no charge, and they will be able to log into a project, test it out, play around with it. It'll give them a lot of familiarity with what a guided project looks like. And again, if an institution wants to reach out, we might not be able to do it with individual students, but if an institution wants to reach out to us, happy to set up a demo as well with somebody on our technical team to be able to take them through what a guided project looks like.
Okay, some people just want that recording. Okay, can these guided projects be included in my resume? I guess that's obviously, I guess they can. There should be no problem with that.
I would just make a quick comment on that as well. On platforms like LinkedIn, we see the second largest number of certificates around the world come from the Coursera platform. And what that tells us is both working professionals and students come to Coursera, take the learning, hopefully enjoy the learning experience, the high quality learning, but there's also value in the credential, the certificate. And because this is coming from a top university, it's coming from a top faculty member, it's coming from a top company, many students will put it on their resume, they will put it on LinkedIn. And we actually have integration with LinkedIn so that you can post the certificate on LinkedIn as well. So absolutely, you can do that, and I would highly encourage you to do that as well.
Can Coursera train teachers on authoring using the Coursera platform?
Yes, the answer is yes. What we do is when we partner with a university, and I was taking the examples of Manipal and KL, and there are 4,000 such universities and colleges that we're working with. The private authoring capability of Coursera for Campus, we do two things. We provide the technology, so the tools that faculty can use to author content. We also get our team to conduct training sessions on what makes for good quality online learning. And I'm sure many faculty and students will agree, the approaches to what makes good quality teaching in a class are quite different from online teaching. We've also actually published a report, and I don't know if we can chat it out, but it's called the Drivers of Quality in Online Learning. And it has a lot of data-based insights that faculty members can refer to say, if I were to author a course online, how do I make it a high quality, engaging course? I would highly recommend taking a look at this particular report as well. It's called The Drivers of Quality in Online Learning.
How do you measure skill proficiency among I guess institutions? I guess metrics used for measuring skill proficiency. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great question. We've actually been doing a lot of work on this, and I'll answer this briefly without getting into a lot of detail. What we do is we build, machine learning algorithms. We built a skills graph, but as an individual comes to the Coursera platform and they take courses, depending on the proficiency level of the course itself. So, are you taking a beginner level course or an advanced level course? And depending on the performance of the assessments that are built into those courses, we are able to then cross triangulate and say, this is the efficiency, this is the proficiency rather of the learner who's taking that course. So, somebody's taking a beginner level course, performing all right on the assessments versus somebody taking an intermediate level course and performing very well on the assessments. We're able to benchmark that. And when we put these data points across millions of learners on our platform, upwards of 80 million learners on our platform, it gives us a very data-rich skills graph. And using that, we are able to bring it down to a particular institution and say, at College X in Coimbatore, what is the skill level of students in Python programming? We can bring it down to that level. And then we could also say, if this particular institution were to compare skills in data science versus all colleges in India or all colleges and universities in the world, how does that compare? Because again, we have the underlying data to then be able to do the benchmarking as well. But it all comes from the skills graph that we have built by using learner performance on courses and on the assessments that they're taking on the Coursera platform.
Okay, last question before I hand this over to Hans Hoyer. Most digital skills are supportive in nature. That is, the need to acquire them only shows up once you're already practicing. So how widespread are worldwide are CAS, MAS, and other microcredit courses for practitioners?
I'm a little, I'd love to clarify that question. What are CAS and MAS? I'm a little unfamiliar with that.
Okay.
Would we, if the person is able to clarify?
Must be microcredit courses, because that comes after that. So maybe some acronym for microcredit courses. I don't see.
Maybe while I just being conscious of time as well, Krishna. Maybe while Hans come on, I can try and see if I can get a little bit more clarity on this question in the chat. We can take it to the chat.
Start winding up, and if Martin Martin Hoberg, Dr. Martin Hoberg wants to clarify that, please send in the text message. But in the meantime, over to you, Hans.
Many thanks, Raghav. Very, very relevant and competent, and I would also say inspiring presentation. And it just confirms our appreciation of the partnership that we have with Coursera. I'm very pleased that the organizations that Krishna and I represent have this partnership, and you certainly, the quality of your presentation, just to confirm that. I do want to make a couple of comments. We don't obviously have the time. You've mentioned one of the universities, Yale University, on the whole issue of the science of well-being. The issue of mental health, and I think one of the chats came in, was a question about mental wellness, is a critical issue. And we're working very closely with leaders in Latin America, and they're doing some interesting creative work and now influencing and dialogue beginning with our friends in India, Asia, and also Africa on this issue of mental well-being. Very, very critical issue. If you could send to me this connection with the science of well-being that you've mentioned, I'm not sure I totally heard that. I would certainly be grateful, but that's a critical issue that leaders, not only for themselves, but the impact on students, on faculty, the leaders of universities per se, is more and more coming, and people are more willing to talk about it. I just want to make that one comment here. The other thing, just not only focusing on your presentation, but on our members that are present, we are celebrating this month, June 23rd, 2 webinars by our series of books, Rising to the Top, written by women leaders in Africa and India. We're very, very proud of those journeys and our series of books written by engineering women throughout the world. And all of you are invited and we'll be sending out the communication on June the 23rd on those two webinars. I want you, please put this on your agenda. Very consistent in our partnership with Coursera and many others. We're diligently preparing, and students, of course, are critically important, as well as, of course, faculty and other leaders in our forthcoming conferences in Germany in September and in Madrid in November. And both, I know Coursera will be engaged in that particular event also. And I just want to put this on your radar screens. Reach out to us. It will be hybrid virtual. So there'll be some people coming in person to both Germany and Dresden and in Madrid, particularly students, faculty, and so forth this coming November. So with that, I just want to really thank you for this very thoughtful, relevant presentation. And peace be with you, and take good care of yourself, Raghav, and your families, all of you who are listening today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Raghav, and Heyong also. Thank you so much. And good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, different parts of the world. So be happy, be safe, and be healthy. Thank you, Raghav.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting us.
Peace
Bye-bye.
be with you. Bye-bye.